Hello, everyone. This is Carrie Desberg, Chief Marketing Officer with InPartner. We make partner relationship management software, and we are lucky enough to work with some of the top corporations in the world, from Xerox to Honeywell to T-Mobile to Zendesk to Splunk. We're really proud of our customer list and the value that we bring to those companies in helping them amplify the performance of their channel. One of the best things about that is it means we also work alongside the best channel strategists. All over the world, channel chiefs turn to strategists to help them work through taking their channel to the next level and to implement technologies. And one of those great firms is Inspired. They've been in our customer mix for a long time, helped bring so many customers to life. And it's my pleasure today to have Gina Batali-Brooks. She's the president of Is Inspired. They are a channel implementation and infrastructure and strategy consultancy firm that we see with top companies around the world. Recently, we formed a Channel Chief Advisory Board. We pulled together all those top people, and we've been producing a constant, steady stream of content to really make sure that at the beginning, in the middle, and the end of the sale, that we have tons of content out there about what the best channel chiefs are doing and what the best practices are. And today, we're going to talk about a topic that is a hot one, and follows on to a conversation that Gina and I were having about partner experience. And she said that what companies really need to do is to really Marie Kondo their experience to absolutely optimize the performance of their channels and the loyalty of their partners. So Gina, how's that translate into the partner experience?
Carrie, thank you so much for having me on here today, because this is a very exciting topic to me. We just recently downsized, and as part of that had to purge a lot and reimagine how we actually lived as we went into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. And as part of that, several of my friends said, hey, you just really need to get engaged what Marie Kondo has to say. And as I started going through our process, I also started to think about, hey, what we really try to work with our customers on is how do you declutter your partner experience, right? How do you simplify it? And so it was one of those things where what I was going through personally really came into what we were doing with our customers. And so it was a pretty interesting connection point that went off in my brain. You can tell I think about the channel probably way too much. But when I looked at it, there's several things that she does that really make sense. One is commit to being tidy, commit to tidying up. The other is imagine what your partner's experience is going to look like. Like, really, what do you want it to look like? The third one is finish discarding first. And really, spending time thinking about how focusing on getting rid of stuff before you do anything else. The next one is, and this is kind of interesting, and stick with me on this as we go through it because it doesn't seem to make as much sense, but she's really about sparking joy. And does it spark joy? And people go, what do you mean spark joy in the channel? But stick with me, like I said. And the final is practice gratitude. And again, go with me on this. I think it all makes sense when we wrap it all together. So if you think about tidying up, committing to tidying up, this is one of the things that we find is people are really, starting to look at how do you optimize your partner experience. It's not a short-term fix. It has to start being built into the fabric of how you're working with your partners. And so that committing to tidying up to me really means how are you putting not only what you're going to do to clean up now, but the infrastructure that you need in place to support it over time. And that's things like a publishing governance body, trying to move publishing of content closer to where it's from, but then where it's being developed. but then being able to say, how do you make sure that it's going to be relevant to the partners? How do you make sure that you're getting rid of stale content or stale data over time? And so you really need to make sure you're committing to it for the long haul. Imagining your ideal partner experience. So this is really where putting yourself in your partner's shoes and doing things like occasionally onboarding as a partner, right? And understanding what that experience looks like. Talking to your partners about what their experience is like. We were talking to a partner the other day, and they had up to 100 vendors that they were working with. And you think about all of their systems, and then you think about all of the vendor systems that they have to know, and all the logins and all of the things. So I think it's easy for the vendors to say, well, it's not that big a deal if they have to do that step. But if you multiply that by 20 or 100, that's a big deal. So thinking about it from the partner perspective, I mean, that's where I really liked how Marie Kondo says, just envision what you're trying to move to. Right? And then finish discarding first. And she also has a thing I think is really cool that's about doing it by category and not by location. So if you think about it and you think about, okay, well, part of discarding is data. Like, what is the data that you really need? What is the data you're going to get rid of? And looking at it kind of holistically across what you need from the partner, not just what you're going to need for the portal, for instance, because if you look at it more holistically, and the same for content. So really spending time doing, discarding before you decide where it's going to go. And then she also has this other thing of make sure everything has a place to go into. And that to me is really where you're combining what you've learned about or what you've envisioned from the partner experience with what you've done from discarding and how you're going to put those two things together to make them all work. And so let me go to the sparks joy. So Carrie, when you hear that and you think about the partner, what do you think?
Well, I would think that you mean that a partner comes to the portal and they're like, hey, wow, everything I want is here and nothing more. And I don't have to wade my way through a whole bunch of stuff that feels dated or is too much even or doesn't seem relevant to what I was really looking for.
Yeah, I think it is that thing of when we talk to partners, a lot of them were like, I don't like to do this because I know it's going to be hard. And if it's like, hey, I like to work with this vendor because I know when I go to look for what I need, I can find it. When I need to get a deal registration into the system, it's a super simple process for me. And I know exactly it's consistent and it's going to be the same all the time. I know that if I need the data that I need to have to manage my business, it's going to be there. And so from a sparking joy perspective, what you're trying to get to is, she talks about you lift it up and you go, does it spark joy for your clothes, right? And if you're going to a partner portal, or even if you're going through the process, whatever process that is, if it's an email coming to your inbox or whatever, you don't go, oh God, right? But you go, oh, hey, that's, whatever company, and I know that does good business. I do good business with them, and it's easy to do business. It's not a drudgery. And then the final one that I thought was really interesting is practice gratitude. So she does this thing, and when you first watch it, you're just like, what? But she thanks the house for being for what you have over your head. She thanks the people she works with. Like, she's very much about putting out gratitude. And I would say one of the things that we find is because, and I know I was guilty of this when I was working, managing a channel myself, is you think of all the problems that you have, but you actually always have a lot of good things as well. And so being grateful and practicing gratitude for what you do have sometimes is really important. So we oftentimes will talk to partners on behalf of our customers, and you talk to the customers and they think they have all of these things wrong. And then when you talk to the partner, it's like, oh no, they're probably one of the best in the industry in this area. And it's because the vendor's living with it all the time and the partner's seeing it across multiple vendors, right? So the vendors always want to be the best, and that's great. But taking a time to say, hey, you know what? We've done some things really well, I think is a really good thing too. So that's my Marie Kondo, in a nutshell, what I see of how that relates to the channel.
Well, I really love that, and it's such sage advice, and it seems like it's such common sense, really. But so often we see, I mean, time and time again, we see that that isn't how somebody gets started when they're redoing a partner and a portal and recasting. What is it that stops people from slowing down to move fast and really being so thoughtful? Is it just a change in attitude, or is there really a secret to getting everybody on board to doing that before you move into your new partner portal house?
Yeah, so I always think about this like the Tinker Toy game that we used to all play, right? Which is you spend 20 minutes planning and you spend 2 minutes building. And I think that doesn't always make sense to everybody, right? Because as soon as you have a burning platform, whatever that burning platform is, and you want to solve that pain as fast as you possibly can. And so the thought process is, well, we just have to get on it quickly. But oftentimes, if you step back, it can get solved faster if you understand more about what you're trying to do and you're cleaning things up. So let's just take an example of content, right? If you're trying to, let's say you're launching a new portal, or you're redesigning or revamping your old portal, a lot of times what will happen is people will just try to fit what they have because it's a fast timeline and they need to fit what they have into the new place that they've purchased. But then you oftentimes either end up, it takes a whole lot longer than if you step back and actually discarded stuff. Then you wouldn't have to load as much content in, and you wouldn't have to figure as much about where things need to go. And we were talking to a partner the other day, and they said that most of the times in a portal that they could get what they need from 20% of the content that's in a portal.
Wow.
And that was a whoa, that's big, right?
Yeah.
You think about the fact that they have to wade through everything. And one of the things Marie Kondo also says is she saves the sentimental piece to last, like sorting through the sentimental aspect, because she knows that's the hardest. And I think sometimes content can actually have a sentimental place for the people who created it, the people who are making, and it's like, oh my gosh, that used to have such good traction, so we can't take it off. Well, it might not have good traction anymore, or it's moved on, or what you want them to know is different.
Yeah.
So to me, it's really the understanding, if you step back and do the planning and stuff, it will move faster moving forward.
That so makes sense. So, well, one of the ramifications of this pandemic is probably more people than ever everywhere in the world have cleaner closets than they ever had. Marie Kondo, her show is definitely helping people who've already moved in and they've already created this environment. So, what's your advice out there for all those people who are listening to you and saying, "Oh, wow, okay, well, I've already moved in and I need to really clean up." I'm gonna assume you're gonna say that it's never too late to do that, and it's still a good thing to go back in and clean up as a way of sparking new joy in your channel. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And in fact, we did something a couple of years ago with a customer who had a really good portal, But we help them kind of, again, go out and talk to their partners and understand what they really needed, and then help them re-architect their home, right? It's the whole love it or list it mode, right? And we help them love it, basically, as far as really looking at it from a standpoint of how could you re-architect it. And as a result, one, they got rid of all of the data, all of the content that had not been accessed in the last year and a half. They put a governing model in place that made sure from a publishing perspective that the right people were publishing it and that they limited what they could publish. They also then started to implement a little bit of the personas. Now, not going crazy, because going crazy means that you have to have the ability to maintain it over time, but implementing things like it's, sales, technical, marketing, executive, and making sure that the home page when they logged in was really focused on that. And as a result, the partner satisfaction went way up. And we just did another round of interviews as a result of it, and everybody mentioned how that had gotten much simpler to use, and the partners did. And so it was a really good way of saying, just because you have it there, you can remodel. and remodeling sometimes, although it's a tough project, is oftentimes a better project than moving. So that's kind of what we always feel like you can always improve. And like I said at the beginning, this is this has to be at the fabric of what you do, and so you're never done with optimizing your partner experience. And we really believe that part of talking to the partners is understanding your long-term roadmap, right? So that's that whole envisioning what your partner experience needs to look like. Doesn't mean you're gonna do it all today. It means that you can start taking steps to build on that over time. And I think that really is a key thing. If you can get approval and management buy-off on this as a roadmap, and you have people who are focused on it, and you're going to continually get feedback from the partners on what's working, what's not working, and you have a process to keep things cleaned up. That's the remodel. And that works really well.
I love that. And one of the things I love most about watching that show, which I do obsessively, is the way that she breaks it down and really makes all of it feel consumable and not overwhelming. And your advice today on how to break it down and make it consumable and figure out how to get your team through something that can feel overwhelming, that's really, really constructive. So we've covered a lot today. What's your single biggest piece of advice for anybody considering Marie Kondoing their partner experience, whether they're just getting started or whether they're cleaning up their existing portal? What's your single biggest piece of advice?
So to me, it's really stepping back and understanding where to go, and then creating a plan that, like you said, bite-sized along the way, that allows you to start getting there. And so that you can show success and measure success along the way, but you know where you're going, and you can always course correct, but you always know where you're going. A mentor of mine said, if you're going to take a sailboat and you're going to go somewhere, you have to know where you're going, and you have to get in the boat to start. And then you can course correct as you're going. And that has really struck me as something that's like, because it's easy to stay on the dock and say, well, I don't have all my supplies and I don't know exactly where I'm going and what happens if the wind comes up. But if you know where you're going, and you can get in the boat and start, and you have a rudder, you can course correct as you go.
I love that. That's a great way to think about getting started. Well, certainly everything that you've said is near and dear to our hearts. We are all about creating a world-class partner experience that helps you differentiate and really make you the vendor of choice, and keep your partners loyal to you because you're so easy to do business with. and certainly be able to segment your partners and make sure that everybody gets exactly what it is that they need to be successful. So, Gina, great advice. As folks listen to this, I hope you reach out to Is Inspired, because they are wonderful channel partners and helping take your partners to the next level, and in partner to talk to us about how our solutions can help you take your channel forward. So with that, I will sign off, and thank you again, Gina. It's really a pleasure to have you in this podcast today, and sage advice.
It's always great to talk to you, Carrie. Love it.
Thank you so much.